Mark, thanks so much for coming out this morning to talk with me and walk around our beautiful Hearn Plaza.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Talk to me about what you teach.
So I'm a professor in the Department of Economics. My specialty is environmental economics. So I think about the interactions between the environment and the economy and how the environment affects the economy and vice versa. I also teach econometrics and I teach intro to econ, which is a fun course to teach as well.
How did you get interested in environmental economics?
When I was an undergraduate, I was a religion and Spanish major, and I took a lot of econ courses. Following undergraduate, I went and worked for a nonprofit that did microcredit in Peru. There was this town nearby, which was a very polluted town, but they really relied on a particular copper smelter for most of the economic activity in that town and for most of the jobs. And so there was this real tension between environmental progress and economic progress. And so I really gained an interest in thinking about how we design policies that might both address environmental outcomes as well as promote economic growth.
How did you make that next step after that experience?
I took a number of econ classes in college, so I had a little bit of a foundation for it. And then after that experience, I said, this is really the direction that I'm interested in. So I ended up doing a master's in economics at Duke. Following that, I took a number of math courses, math and stats courses, and then went on to do my PhD at Georgia State University in economics after that.
Tell me, what is the environment like in your classroom?
Yeah, so we try to have a really engaging atmosphere in the class. One of the things that I love to do is to bring current events into the classroom. And when we're thinking about environmental issues, there are lots of current events, right? As we think about the transition away from fossil fuels and towards renewable energy, as we think about local events that have happened here in Winston-Salem with the Weaver Fire Plant recently,
Right.
There have been lots of opportunities to engage students with existing policies and of course with climate change as well, as we think about what sorts of policies are best suited to address this real threat of climate change.
Thinking about, environmental economics and your own disciplinary interests, are there any resources you use here at Wake Forest to help you do that work?
Sure, so there's two wonderful things that I'll mention here at Wake Forest. One of which is the Sabin Center, which brings together folks from many different disciplines that are interested in environmental issues. The second thing I'll mention is the DEEC cluster, which is really the supercomputer that we have here on campus that I don't think maybe gets enough attention. But so much of my work and economist work is working with really large data sets. And you need a lot of computational power to be able to do that. And Wake has really provided an excellent resource for me that I'm used constantly to try to make sense of the economy, to make sense of how policies affect the environment and how environmental policy affects the economy.
And then how do you bring your students into that?
Our undergraduates have the opportunity to work with faculty members that are doing cutting edge research. And that's a really unique thing that this university offers. And so we incorporate students from the get-go. So students that are interested in research can join small research teams, learn both from faculty members and from advanced undergraduate students that have been there for a couple of years. And hopefully by the time that they've been there for a year or two, they're making real contributions to the research of faculty members.
Right. That experience, I'm sure, is invaluable to them as they think about those next career steps and maybe, like you, having an impact, on society.
Absolutely. One of the things I certainly pride myself in is the focus on doing research that really makes an impact on policy. But I also understand that and am very aware that some of the biggest impact that we have is on the students that we're teaching and motivating those students to go on and make a difference in the world, whether or not that's in environmental economics or somewhere else.
You talked about being in Peru. Now, is your research still based internationally or what's your focus on?
Yeah, so most of my research now is shifted towards domestic policy, thinking about what sorts of policies the United States might want to implement to address environmental issues in a way that really minimizes the damage that is done to workers in the economy, and actually think about how we can actually design policies that boost the economy. And so this is certainly something that's been on the forefront of minds of many policymakers and other sorts of policies which are really designed to stimulate communities that might be worse off from transitioning away from fossil fuels. I've been thinking hard about how workers are going to transition as we move from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more renewable energy-based economy. That has some really big implications for our workforce. And thinking about how we design policy in a way that minimizes the impact on workers and promotes economic growth is super important. Otherwise, we're not going to have the political support for these policies in the first place. So how can we design policies that are going to benefit both the economy and the environment is a really important idea for me.
Right. And what I hear you saying, there's benefit humanity.
Absolutely. From the get-go, I've always wanted to do research that really had an impact on the world. Like I didn't want to just be doing research that was going to be just seen by a few people and not really matter in the big scope of things.
So what's next?
Excited about a couple of new roles that I'm taking on here at Wake Forest, one of which is the chair of the Department of Economics. The other is recently began as the Reynolds professor here. And so I'm excited to continue doing research, continue teaching students in environmental economics, working more with our existing faculty to help grow them and mentor some of them to become excellent teacher scholars here at Wake Forest.
Right. Well, congratulations on that Reynolds professorship. It's clear to me why you're in that role. I think, not just from what we've talked about already on our walk, but when I think about your impact on students in that direct individual way, you're really exemplifying pro humanitate. And then we go to your ability to have an impact on even broader humanity. Yeah. So that's just so incredibly important.
Well, it's a great university to be at. I've really enjoyed the combination of research and teaching that this university offers. And it's been a great 10 years here at Wake Forest.
Well, 1 decade down, many decades to come. How's that, right?
Sounds great.